Guess who's back? Back again. Mikey's back. Tell a friend. Hey everybody, here with another video for you guys today. And today we're going to be doing episode 4 of the Bricker Brack Chat Podcast. Yep, my official podcast on Mikey J Productions. But before I go any further, let me just say, if you like this video, any other videos on my channel, please like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll be getting into the topic of today's podcast after my short intro coming in right about now. So here we are with episode 4 of the podcast, and let me just start out by saying that I apologize for taking last week off due to illness, but I think it was in the best interest of not only myself for not having to talk at an extended period of time, but also for my listeners, because it would not have been a pleasurable experience for either one of us. So it was a necessary time off that was required. And on the topic of that, I'm still not completely 100% bounced back. So please forgive me if you hear anything kind of funny come through my voice, any gravelness, etc. But I'll try to keep it as good as I can. And then we're going to start this podcast off by talking about last week's videos, which would have been the past 2 weeks' videos. We had my Silent Mary mock, we had my Lego Fort mock, and then we had a trip through the Lego trains and kind of a brief run through of my city. And I appreciate everybody for watching those videos and whatnot. But let me just say, on like a personal note, I can see through the analytics on YouTube who's watching my videos and who is not. And the alarming thing that I've come across is that I have over 2,000 subscribers, 2,300 and something, which is a pretty decent amount. But most of my videos are being watched by non-subscribers. And my actual people that have subscribed to my channel, very few of them are actually even watching my stuff right now, which is a little disheartening. You know, I appreciate those of you that are. But if you guys have any suggestions or ideas on, how I can maybe reconnect with some of my subscribers. I mean, I'm trying to stay consistent with the uploads and everything, but it's a little alarming that, I have over 2,000 subscribers, but yet it seems like I have the same, probably 15 or so that are actually watching my videos consistently, and yet most of the views on my videos are coming from non-subscribers. So it's like, well, how do I get those people involved and want to come along for the ride fully, and how do I revitalize those that initially subscribed but are no longer paying attention? It's quite the issue. So I would appreciate any kind of suggestions or thoughts or ideas that I have there that you might have, which I fully expect only the people that are my loyal followers are the ones listening to the podcast. I don't expect a lot of new traffic coming in for this, so that's kind of why I wanted to address it here. And I know some of you guys have some very good video ideas, and so I appreciate that. And I have been taking some of those ideas and suggestions, and will be implementing them into future videos, like minifigures, for example. I do have some minifigure videos coming down the pipeline. I actually recorded the footage of them yesterday, as a matter of fact, for 2 of them. But I'm usually, the podcast is as close to the current state of where I'm at as you're going to get. The actual videos themselves, they tend to be at least 1 week behind, sometimes even 2 weeks behind, perhaps even more than where I am at my current state of things with Lego and YouTube and everything, because I don't want to burn myself out here. So, what happens is I go downstairs and I start working on things, and I make videos as I'm going, record footage. And then when it's all done, you compile it, edit it, and all that stuff, and then you make the video for it. But the video, I have to release them on a specific schedule. Otherwise, I could burn myself out. I can't just say, well, I recorded footage for 5 videos today, so therefore I'm going to put out 5 videos this week. Because then I would be working so hard on all those videos, and then I would plain just be like, all right, I need a break from working on YouTube, and then I might not have any for next week. So that's why I feel it's better to, you work on a few of them at a time, and then you release them on the specific days that you've designated their release, which for me right now is Fridays and Saturdays. Which, the reason I'm doing Fridays and Saturdays is because it's a known fact that videos released later in the week tend to make more money for ad revenue than those released earlier in the week, which, not that it's all about like the ad revenue or anything like that, but I mean, since that's a given fact, I'm figuring I might as well just roll with that. But I do worry that perhaps maybe, doing the 2 videos on back-to-back days is kind of overwhelming, and maybe overwhelming my audience, and maybe if I did Thursday and Saturday, give them a day to breathe, maybe that would be better. I don't know. So you guys tell me. It wouldn't be a big deal to change it from from Friday to Thursday. But as for right now, that's what I'm doing, and it's been working out rather well. I'm happy with that. I do the podcast typically on Mondays, which I'm actually recording this on Sunday, the day before, because I have some stuff going on tomorrow. But typically Monday is kind of one of my YouTube designated work days where I try to get all my stuff done for the week. And that's why I've been doing the premieres for my videos, which I don't know if you guys have noticed that, which typically you can see what videos are coming a few days in advance. And that's because I got it all uploaded and done on Monday, and so now I don't have to sit back and think about it for the rest of the week, other than when it comes out I have to do the promotion stuff, which what that entails is sharing it on specific websites and trying to get people to watch it, which, as I've said before, it does work, since most of my views are coming from quote-unquote strangers, which is a good thing. But it would be nice to, if they would subscribe, or if I could get my older audience, all 2,000 of you, to pay back attention again, which I know is my own fault for taking such long absences, but it wasn't because I didn't want to do things. It was just life is what life is, and you have to play the hand you're dealt, and I felt like that was the appropriate thing for me at the time, was to not concentrate so much on YouTube because I had other responsibilities and things to take care of, which now I've actually been able to niche out some time to work on it, and so that's why I'm trying to do. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I want to be like Jang Bricks and have like 1 million subscribers. I mean, not that that wouldn't be fun and all. That seems a little daunting also. But I feel like if I could reach around 10,000, I'd be pretty happy with that. And so that's kind of where I'm at. I'd like to, the first milestone would be get to 5,000. And if I could get to 10,000, that means that my audience is, pretty initiated, and they will watch my videos more, my subscribers that is, so that I don't have to necessarily worry about getting new viewers so much, but just be able to say, well, like this podcast, for example, be able to put out a podcast and know that I'm probably going to get a few hundred people that listen to it just because I have that many subscribers. So, and that just that helps to know when you put in the effort, because all these videos, they do take, quite a bit of effort. You're going to put in the effort there, that it'll at least get rewarded, and that you're having people listen to it and interact with you. Because that's kind of the whole point of, the podcast. Maybe not so much the regular videos, but the podcast anyways, is for me to kind of get to know you guys a little bit better, and then hopefully for me to get to know you guys, and vice versa. So that's kind of where we're at with that, which that brings me to the meat and potatoes of today's topic, and that is my history with Lego. This was a topic that when I first thought about the podcast, it was the first one that came to mind. Was just kind of giving you guys a brief, rundown of how Lego started with me and where it all began. And so, but we had other, pressing issues that came up, and so I devoted my attention to those. But I figured this was a good time to get into the initial video idea that I had. And so I'm going to take you back in time, back to the 80s, and we're going to do a little walk down memory lane through my personal Lego sets. Now, forgive any of the dates and times. I'm basically going off of memory here. But I'm going to say my first Lego set was probably around 1986, maybe 87, but it was a police boat. And I'll try to find the images and everything for all the sets that I talk about in this video. And I got it for Christmas, and it was a very nice little boat. And I remember the actual hull was like a solid piece, and if I remember correctly, it could actually float in water. I mean, don't quote me on that, but this was like my first Lego set, and I really liked it a lot. I don't know why, my mom decided to get me this for Christmas, or what the deal was. She probably found it on sale or something. Who knows? But I liked it a lot, and I still remember these couple little police guys to this day. And it's a set that I would actually really enjoy to get again someday. It was a nice little set. And then the next ones that I remember was I got a Forestman set, Forestman Rivers Crossing. I had that set, and I had Wolfpack Tower, and I had a few other small little castle sets. Nothing super memorable about them, the battle pack kind of things, or you just get a couple of mini figures or whatnot. But I remember the Riverman's Crossing and Wolfpack Tower very, very vividly. A lot of people really like the Wolfpack Tower set, and not that I don't. I think it's a nice set, but I really liked the Forestman set a lot, and I still to this day love my Forestmans, and they're definitely a theme, a sub theme that I plan on doing more with in the future, because it was so near and dear to my heart. And to this day, I still have the minifigures from both of these sets. Well, most of them anyways. There was a female Forestman character, I believe, and I no longer have her, which she's actually a little bit on the valuable side, so that's a little bit of a bummer. But I still have my Forestman minifigures, but I don't think I have the correct heads and stuff on them now. I think I've just mostly, modded them out or, turned them into other characters within my, display. But I still have all the rest of the Forestmans guys, all my original guys. And then the next major sets that I got into was Lego Pirates. And the very first pirate set that I got was Lagoon Lockup. And I remember I liked this set a lot. It was, to this day, I still think it is one of the nicer sets to come out of, that the soldiers had, either the red coats or blue coats. And so much so that in my current display, I actually made a mock that was inspired by that set, because that's how much I liked that set as a child. And then a few other ones that I got. I want to say I got the name is catching me off the top of my head, but it was the original Lego Pirates Island, not Rock Island Refuge, but the other one. I want to say I got that one first, and the reason why I've never gone back and gotten that set is because it really wasn't all that good. It would fall over very easy. Of the initial Pirates sets, it's actually one of the weaker ones, and I don't encourage people to go back and get that particular one because I think you'll be disappointed with it. It was just not. If when you were playing with it, it would fall over, and you'd always have to be fixing it, and it frustrated me as a child. That set did. So that's why I've had no interest in going back and reacquiring that particular one. And then the next one that I got was the original Imperial Flagship. I got that for, I want to say my mom got me for Christmas when it was the newest one out. But I missed out on the Caribbean Clipper and the Black Seas Barracuda. I never got those sets when they were new. And I remember I was always salivating at them and begging for them and talking about them. And so that's why I got this ship, because this is what my mom could afford at that particular time. And even though I really did like this ship a lot, I was disappointed that it wasn't an actual pirate ship. Because still, I'd go and I'd play with all my guys, and now the good guys or the redcoats got this big old ship, and so it was like, man, my pirates got nothing that can compete with this. Felt a little unfair. And then I want to say the next year for Christmas, my dad, because my parents were divorced, he got me a slew of sets. I think it was all at the same time. It might not have been the same Christmas. I can't remember exactly. But I got the Skull Eye Schooner, Rock Island Refuge, and the Imperial Trading Post. I got all of these around the same time. And this is when my Lego Pirates stuff was just at its absolute premium. And if you want to know what kicked my interest into doing the pirate display to begin with, it was from my childhood around this time, having all these classic sets I could set up and build in my bedroom and put on the floor and sit there and play and go from site to site and have ship battles. And it was just, I always wanted to have my own Lego display, permanent display, because putting it on the floor, things would happen, and building Lego on the floor, on a carpet floor, is never a good idea to begin with. But so I would have, and my mom would tell me to put my Legos away, so I'd have to put them in the closet, and then they'd break apart, and then when it was time to play, I'd have to rebuild things and fix things and looking for certain pieces and can't find them and get frustrated because all I wanted to do was play. I was always much more of a play-oriented child than actual, building. But this is where the initial love for the pirates really kicked into full gear. And to this day, the Skull Eye schooner it haunts me that I don't have this ship anymore, which we'll get into a little bit later in the video on what happened with all of my original Lego sets. But yeah, the Skull Eye schooner, I absolutely loved that ship, still do, and I will hopefully get it someday, whether I get the official set or I try to mock one up myself. It is definitely something that I want to have happen. But then you also heard me mention both Rock Island Refuge and the Imperial Trading Post, and that's wherein my love for these two sets came into play. I did not get Eldorado Fortress as a child, but I did have these two, and to this day, I would say that with Eldorado Fortress, they're easily the three best land sets for the pirate theme that have been released to date, because the Pirate Bay hasn't officially been released yet, but as of right now, they are still the three best. And then to go with all of these sets, I had a lot of smaller sets, whether it's Saber Island or Broadside Brig, all of them like small to mid-range sets. I had pretty much all of those as well. And surprisingly, I didn't get any more city sets other than that initial police boat as a child. That was the only one I got. But I did have a fair amount of the classic space sets also. I didn't get anything amazing like a monorail or anything like that, but I did have a fair amount of like Blacktron figures. It seems like I had a decent collection of those. And then so about this time, by the time we get to 94, 95, I was pretty much out of Lego at that point. It's not that I didn't like it, it just wasn't high on my love list anymore, I guess you can say. So my dark ages kind of began. But I do remember, I want to say I was in 7th grade, so I would have been probably around 1995. I did put all of my classic Lego pirate sets together again. It was the last time I had them together. I built them all and I put them on my floor again because I didn't have like shelf space or anything in my room. Because even though my parents did buy me a lot of really nice Lego and stuff, it wasn't something that they were all interested in keeping up with. You know, not just Lego, but like toys of mine in general. So it was like no one thought that, you know, maybe we should put some shelves on the wall so we could put them on there or anything like that. So I didn't have anything like that. So I built them. I wasn't playing with them at this point. But I wanted to build them one last time, and I put them in the corner of my room. Well, I had an older stepsister at the time, and her boyfriend was over, and he was watching something on the TV in my bedroom, and it literally made him roll on the floor laughing, and he fell down and like smashed all my sets. And it really bummed me out because, as I said earlier, I was never huge on the building aspect, especially as a kid. Looking for pieces always has drove me nuts to this day. That's why I actually sort all my pieces by color. Not by actual piece part, but at least put them by color, and it makes it a little easier to find or what I'm looking for, because I despise looking for pieces. When I want something, I want. Well, seeing all that happen to my Lego sets really upset me, and so I had this big box, a big like moving box, and so I just picked them all up and I just tossed them in this box. because I was just so frustrated because I didn't want to have to search for the pieces again to rebuild these sets. And that's where they stayed, was in this box for a few more years. And then probably about the time I was in high school, the final travesty of my my initial Lego sets came to fruition. And that was my stepmom, which, I'm not going to go into great detail there, but we'll just say that we never really saw eye to eye, for lack of a better phrase. And she decided to give them to her friend so her friend could sell them in a garage sale. And never told me about this, mind you, because I would have said, no way. Even though I wasn't into Lego at that point, I wouldn't have just given all my precious memories away just to be sold at a garage sale. And so that's what happened. Some lucky person out there acquired all these classic sets for probably pennies on the dollar. And it still really devastates me that happened, especially the Skull Eye Schooner specifically. Now, before this happened, I had a younger cousin who was into Lego. And, as I've said, I didn't want to go through and search for pieces and everything like that. So what I did was I pulled out not all my minifigures, but a lot of them. And I put them in a Ziploc baggie, and I took them over to my grandmother's house for him to play with when he was over there. And so, even though I lost all those Lego sets, I kept a good portion of my original minifigures. So I still have my original, pirate minifigures to this day. I still have, most of my original Forestman minifigures, Castle, etc. Even like my Blacktron Space Guys, I still have those. So that was the best. That was the one good thing that came out of all that, as I still maintained all of those minifigures, even after losing my complete collection of actual sets. And so I know it's such a downer topic, but it gets better. And then now we're around the mid 90s, okay? Don't have much interest in Lego whatsoever. And then fast forward to the whenever the Pirates of the Caribbean sets came out, I remember I was at one of the stores, like Toys R Us or something, and I happened to see those ships, and I did think to myself, and those are pretty cool. If I had the extra money, I wouldn't mind having those. But I was in my 20s at the time, and having to pay bills, so it wasn't really something that was feasibly going to happen. But I remember seeing them and being like, oh, those are pretty cool. And the same can be said about the second Imperial Flagship. I remember seeing that in a store at one point, and I looked thinking to myself, man, that actually looks pretty cool. I wouldn't mind having that thing. But I never actually bought any sets. And then what ended up happening was, years and years go by. And, at this point I'm married and, have a family of my own and everything. And I catch word that Lego's doing the DeLorean from Back to the Future. And at this time we have a little bit more, expendable income, and I had always wanted a DeLorean from Back to the Future, and I never really had one, even as a child or anything. And so, I say, all right, I'm buying this, and I'm going to build it, and it's going to be cool. And I did, and I like it, but if I'm honest, I was a little disappointed with the build of that actual set. I feel like it could have been done a little bit better than they ended up doing. And then it was like the next year they did the Ecto one and the Ghostbusters, and that was like my jam as a kid was Ghostbusters. So I was like, I gotta have this, and so again I bought that. So for a couple of years there, those were like the only Lego sets that I had, and I had them just sitting on a shelf in our bedroom and just collecting dust. But I was like, hey, I like them, they're cool, I'm happy. And then our daughter was getting really into Lego at this time. And we bought a bunch of Lego sets for her for Christmas one year. And then I just started to get the fever again. And I started to want some stuff for me. And then, of course, the first thing that I wanted was Lego Pirates. Well, I go on eBay, I go on Amazon, and I check the prices of like the Skull Eye Schooner, and I'm just like, oh, that's just a punch in the stomach. I don't know if that's going to happen. Well, then, I don't know how it happened, but I came aware of Enlightened bricks. And I see what they got going there, and I see the prices, and so my wife and I, we talk about it, and so we ended up getting a bunch of the Enlightened ships. I got the Kazi Black Pearl ship, which I named the Inquisition, and it was all just to save money to get them on the cheap. Not I could buy 6 or 7 of these ships versus one of the real like classic Lego ships. So it just it felt like the wise move at the time. And so that's kind of how it all started, and it just started snowballing from there. And then next thing is I wasn't really satisfied with these Enlightened and knockoff ships and everything, so I started wanting the real deal. So I went back and I got like Queen Anne's Revenge and basically anything that I could get my hands on at the time. I went and got that I could afford, and I did pay the prices to get the Rock Island Refuge and Eldorado Fortress and Imperial Trading Post, because I had to have those sets. They were just they were absolute necessities for me. And so that's just kind of where it all started, and it just so happened that at that time that I was getting back into it, the 2013 Castle Wave was still on shelves, so I could get a lot of those sets really cheaply on clearance, and I did, and that's where my Blue Castle came from. And then the 2015 Pirates stuff came, and so I got all those sets, and so it was a perfect storm that they had stuff available that I was personally interested in. Even though it wasn't nearly as good as the stuff that I loved as a kid, at least I could go into Walmart or Toys R Us at the time and go, oh, I wouldn't mind having that, and, so let's buy it, and we did, and so that's just kind of where everything went from there. And then I started putting everything together and building tables for display, and then that brings us up to the start of like the YouTube stuff, which I never really thought about doing YouTube originally. I guess what kind of got me interested in it was I would watch other people's videos on some of these sets, and it would inspire me to want to do something similar. And I mean, I'll be honest with you guys, my favorite show, my number one show to watch originally was the Brick Show. I really enjoyed those guys, and if you go back and watch my initial videos, like my first 10 to 15 brick-based videos that I did, I was very much kind of copying the Brick Show style in a lot of ways, and because I really thought that they had a good thing going, and so that was where my initial inspiration with the YouTube stuff came from. And I wasn't really going to adhere to a schedule. It was just going to be something that I did whenever I felt like it, kind of a thing. And then, but I did the very first video I did with all my pirate ships at the time really started to do rather well. Like the other ones, like I could put out a video and it would get 5 views, 10 views. Really nobody paying attention to it. But next thing I know, I got this video and it's getting thousands of views. I'm kind of going like, whoa. And so then I started doing more and more of the videos about the pirate ships, because it seemed like that's what people were hungry for. That's what they wanted. So I just started feeding into that constantly. And even though I love Lego pirates, talking about the pirate ships specifically, like over and over again, started to like kind of wear me out. And I felt like I was just doing the same thing over and over again just to please my subscribers, even though it wasn't really pleasing me. Like if you can go back, I did all these pirate ship comparison videos and stuff, and the vast majority of those that I did was specifically to please my audience, because they kept asking for more and more and more and more of those. And I'm sitting here going, I don't want to talk about this ship again. And we just talked about it last week, and now you want me to talk about it again? Like, I'm just like, go watch that video. But it was just so and that's what kind of brought my first like break from YouTube in. Was I was just kind of tired of talking about the same things over and over and over repetitively. And then but I would come back, take a break, and then come back and do some more videos. And but what brought me back right now was I discovered this other YouTuber named Robin Hood Bricks. I don't know if you guys have heard of him. He actually has less subscribers than me at the moment, but his videos are doing quite a bit better than mine. But I liked his approach to things, and that every little change that he does to his Lego city, like that's like a video, and he's kind of just taken that approach. And I was like, that's not a bad idea. And so I've kind of said, well, maybe that's what I should do, and not, I quit doing the reviews a while ago, because that was another thing. Reviews are they are so monotonous and they're so boring. Between the reviews and the pirate ship comparison videos, I was just blah. But actually talking about my collection and talking about my display and showing you guys how that progresses and how that changes, I've always enjoyed that. So I just kind of said, well, that's what I'm going to do, because I got inspired by his mentality with it. And which, if you haven't seen him, you should check him out. He's got a good channel going. Seems like a good guy. And but he's specifically like Lego city stuff. But he's building a unique and different city. I got to give him that. But so that's what I kind of thought, and I'm looking back through my collection, and I'm like, there's still not a lot of, or any other like YouTubers out there that are doing specifically like Lego pirate stuff or Lego castle stuff or mixing them together, anything like that. You'll see Lego cities up the wazoo on YouTube. But if you want to talk about like pirates or castle, it's a little bit harder and harder to come by, especially and people that are dedicated to it. Like, I don't know if there's anyone else that's specifically dedicated to this stuff. You'll see stuff on like Beyond the Brick from a convention. There's a lot of like convention stuff that you can find, but not somebody that's doing like I am, where here it is. Here's my display, and we're gonna do little changes. And every day, every video is gonna be new changes, and go kind of through it like that. So that's just kind of where I'm at with it right now, and I feel pretty good about it. I still incorporate my city stuff because I still have things going down there, but I definitely see the difference in my videos between when I talk about my city versus when I talk about like the pirates. Clearly people want to see the pirate stuff, and I want to show that stuff to you guys too, but it all depends on what's going on at the moment. So please watch my other stuff too, and because it's all for the cause, and it all helps keep the channel growing and moving things forward and everything like that. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. That's a good rundown of my history with Lego here, and I hope you guys enjoyed listening to it. I hope I didn't ramble on too awful much, and please write down in the comments, if you have any suggestions, whether it's for the channel or possible video ideas, or how I can help re-engage my old subscribers, or how I can get new subscribers, or if you just want to say hi, put down in there, and continue to like, comment, and subscribe. Share videos. Like, if you really want to help me out, sharing videos is a big deal on YouTube. But there we go. Thanks everybody for listening to the podcast, and I'll be seeing you guys all again later. Take care, everybody.